Okay, I just have to record this very quickly because I was trying to make and because I always prep my speeches before I actually speak, right? So I know what I'm gonna say. So I was just imagining like being on a talk show or being the host, and then the guys being like, oh well, she doesn't love me because she didn't forgive me, and me explaining, no, that has nothing to do with her not loving you and forgiving you. She's already loved you and forgived you. The thing is that you used up all of your free passes, which means men think that women are supposed to love and forgive you, and we do. But there comes a point where you pushed us too far, and we're realizing that we deserve someone who would never put us through what you put us through. Yes, life will throw stuff at you, but the guy doesn't need to keep bringing the junk into the relationship and causing the situations. And this is reversible. It could be women too. Do not take it as like a male female thing. Energies are interchangeable. It could be the man, it could be the woman. Whoever it is that's doing the deceiving, the lying, the hurting, the betrayal, the addiction, whatever is causing pain in the relationship. The person that stayed, yes, there's love there. They love you. They love you. But they love you so much that they stayed. They can't stay anymore because now you're destroying your life, but you're also destroying their life. That's not fair. They weren't born to have their life destroyed by someone that they love. They want to spend the rest of their lives with that person. So stop pushing the person you love to the point where they break and there's no more love left. Like, I love you and I care about you. I'm not in love with you anymore. And that's what happens, is the love is there, but they no longer are willing to put up with what they were willing to put up with, which is what love is originally. When I'm in love, I'm willing to put up with a lot because I'm in love with you. Now I'm not in love with you. I love you. I care about you. If you go to the hospital, I'm going to be there. If something happens, I'm going to be there. But I can no longer, at all, be the person by your side being your rock anymore. I can't do that because you weren't my rock. You caused me a lot of pain and heartache and stress, and you know what I mean? Like, and I did everything for you. I had your back and I took care of you and I loved you and I supported you even through your whatever was happening between us, your addictions, your infidelity, or sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's the person has a disability and you have to deal with that, your PTSD or whatever it is that you're dealing with the other person, and they just keep pouring it on you, thinking that you're made out of like your brass knuckles, but you're not. You're a human being, and you can only take so much before you need to stop. Your fight or flight mode comes, and then finally your body's like, I can't fight anymore. I'm gonna die if I stay here. Whether it's with disease, mental anguish, my heart, I cannot stay here. It's not good for me. I need to leave. I have to go, and I'm not coming back. Some people do come back, so understand that just because someone loves you doesn't mean you can push them past the point of no return. You should be grateful and appreciate the person that you're with. But don't get me wrong, there are some people that are so horrible to you that you need to push back, and then that causes them pain, and then they're like, what's going on? Well, that's what you did to me. And then they don't get it for a while, and then they're like, oh wow, I did that to you, and then they think you're pushing them too far. Sometimes you push back, and just the little pushback causes the person that you took all of the hits for to be like, I don't want this. This isn't what I wanted, because they want you to be their punching bag. And then they leave, and you're like, why did I endure all of that? Why did you? You don't have to. If you love somebody, you don't have to endure the cheating, the deceiving, the lying, through sickness and health, I believe in, but sometimes there are some people that are so far gone mentally or physically that you need to put them someplace. You can't just give up your life to take care of someone else. You need to get help, or you need to put them someplace, and then you can go visit them. There's a difference there. But you should not give up your whole life to care for another human being if you have children and you're still young. You know what I mean? Like, it's different if you're older and you grew old together, or you met when you're older and you want to do that. But if you're young and your partner is permanently paralyzed, and not or, and they're like in a comatose kind of like, or dementia or something like that. Yes, you're supposed to be with each other through sickness and health, but that's a lot to bear. This is just a very out of the box strange analogy. That is the most extreme, where you're like, okay, I love you, I will be there, I will come and visit you, but I cannot sit here and take care of you all day, every day. That's not what anybody signs up for. And it's not about signing up for it because you sign up through sickness and in health till death do us part. But if you got to do this for 40 years, there's people that do it. There's other people that can't. I don't blame that person. But when you have a person that's constantly lying to you, constantly cheating on you, constantly berating you, not because they're abusive, but because of what you do to them. So like, there's a lot of people that are in relationships where the person subtly abuses you. So they're nice, they're sweet, they're kind, they're polite, they're patient in front of everyone, but the things they do behind your back are what cause the problems in the relationship. It's like a subtle abuse of like, oh, I'm cheating and I'm lying. And then you lose your whole mind. You look, the women or the man look like the crazy person, but there's nothing wrong with you. This person is so deceptive and so manipulative and knows all the tricks and corners and the law and this and that it makes you feel like you're crazy and you're not. And then you find out the truth and you're like, oh my God, you need to leave that situation, because that person that you think can change and be better, sometimes they can and sometimes they can't. You're just setting yourself up for like trauma. Like, you've already been through trauma. You've already endured the trauma, but you're setting yourself up for just pain. You're setting yourself up for failure. There has to be a point where you know when it's time to leave. I admire the marriages where people have been together for 20 to 50 years. But even in those marriages, you see that there's angst or animosity in some of them, because the betrayal was so big, but the person stayed anyway for whatever reasons, religious reasons, just belief. I believe that you're supposed to be together forever till death do us part. I love you. Sometimes it's love, but the betrayal was, don't betray your partner. If you don't have to betray your partner, don't think that they're going to forgive you. And this is what I have a problem with society, is that men, and this is mostly men, believe that you can hurt somebody. Okay, let's not say men, people. There's some people out there that believe that you can hurt someone, and if they stay, that means they love you. So they're testing you. So they're like, well, you don't love me because you didn't stay. Well, no, because you did something really bad. Why should I stay when you keep hurting me and you're doing bad things on purpose because you want to, and then you use the excuse that I don't love you because I didn't stay? That's reverse psychology abuse. No, you should not have done anything to hurt me. Now, if you hurt me and I forgive you, cool, but that doesn't mean that you can hurt me again, and then again, and then again. Yeah, even if I forgive you a few times, don't keep hurting me, because at some point I'm going to be like, okay, this is what it's going to be like forever, ever? Then no, I'm not going to stick around. And then you get mad that I'm not sticking around, and then you say I don't love you. No, you didn't love me because you kept hurting me on purpose, thinking that oh, well, it's okay to hurt this person because they keep forgiving me. No, that's not how love works. You should be grateful the person forgave you the first time. Because not everybody forgives. So love is a beautiful thing, but it's not a tool that you use to allow you to behave improperly. Oh, you don't love me, and then they go on and move to the next chick. No, that is wrong behavior. Just because people that you know or you've seen, because this is learned behavior, stay together through the rough times doesn't mean you need to put your person through the rough times. God and life are going to test you. You do not need to test your person. You do not need to bring all the drama in. You do not need to cause problems. You do not need to test the relationship. It will be tested, whether you want it or not. So stop testing people. Let life test you. Let life test you. Because it's not fair to the person that's being tested. Nobody's testing you. Guys, there's people like, oh, I do this thing, it's a test, and I do it. Don't do that. Watch the person. Just spend time with them and watch them and decide, do you want, but you will see by their behavior if you want to be with, you don't have to test them. You will see if they're always looking on their phone, but they don't let you look at their phone. That person can't be trusted. Period. If your dude's always on the phone and you're like, hey, can I see your phone? And they're like, no, that person can't be trusted. Period. I'm telling you that right now. Anybody that has nothing to hide will be like, here, I don't care. Here, right? Here, take my phone. Here, take my wallet. I don't care. Look through everything. Don't take anything, but just look through it. Please just don't delete anything. If you have any questions, let me know. Because they got nothing to hide. But when you have something to hide, this is a good tip for you guys. If you meet someone and they say, I'm a very private person, so I really don't like so I don't go out there, I don't tell everybody my business. If you're not P. Diddy, J. Lo, Mark Anthony, or like Ben Affleck, or, Lady Gaga, and you have to sign an NDA in order to date me because you don't want everything to come out into the open, because that's there's a difference between being a millionaire, a very affluent person, and trying to keep your life private. That's one thing. But when you're not an affluent person and you're like, oh, I'm just really private, that's just saying I'm a player and I don't like you to know all the girls that I'm sleeping with. So if I'm sleeping with you, please don't tell nobody because I'm a private person. And then you're like, oh, I respect that. But guess what? That same person is sleeping with how many other people? And then people are going to argue and be like, oh, well, that's not always true. Some people are just private. Why are you private? If you have nothing to hide, if you're not doing anything wrong, why are you private? People that lie know they did something wrong and they're trying to cover it up. People that are hiding things or private, they're not trying to let you see what's going on. Now, it's one thing if you're being private and you're like, oh, I don't want the information from my company to leak because we're coming out with a new product. That's different. That's privacy. There's a difference between that privacy and like, I don't want people to know my business, meaning like, I don't want them to know that you and I are having sex on the rooftop and here and there and all these places, right? That's privacy. But when you don't even want to claim the person as your girlfriend or boyfriend or let anybody know that you slept with them, that's not privacy. That's you not wanting the world to know what you did because you don't want this person in your life. You don't respect them. Or you have multiple people and you want to keep your facade up. It's a warning sign. That's how I look at people. I'm like, hey, can I go through your wallet? And if they're like, no, I'm like, okay, I don't trust them. Because what's in your wallet? Phone number. I'm not going to sit here and look at your credit card number and stare at it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like looking through it and putting stuff back. I want to make sure there's no phone numbers. There's no pictures of a family in the corner in the back, which happens a lot. Phone numbers and all this stuff. Like, and that's when I was younger. Now I'm like, can I just go through your phone real quick? I just want to see your text messages. And I don't do that with everyone. I do it with the guy who doesn't let me go through his phone, or the guy who never spends a full day with you. They only spend a few hours each day with you because they have to go back to their wife. And I say men in context because I'm a woman and I'm a heterosexual woman. And that's just context. But remember, the roles can be reversed. So don't get offended. Women do it too. Yeah, women do it too. Oh my God, the women that do it. Did you see my face? You see my face now? These women, it's just astounding. I can't. But they do it. But a lot of the women that do this were broken by men that did it first. A lot of the men that did this were broken by women that did it, that were broken by a man that did this first. And you can go down thousands of years and see how women have been treated by men all the way up until the 60s, where we finally started getting our freedom. And now we're free and we think, oh, everything's fine. Everything's not fine. It could easily, did you see The Handmaid's Tale? It could very quickly revert back to that. It could very quickly revert to anything if whoever decides to do that. Change the laws, or we get taken over, or whatever. You never know. You do not know. Right now in Afghanistan, the Taliban took over another city, and now the women that had the freedom, they don't have the same freedom they had before. They can't go to school, they can't teach the classes, they can't go out, because that's what happens. So it's happening now. Just because we have freedom now doesn't mean that we're going to continue to have the freedom. And it's usually the men oppressing the women, and this is just historical data. So don't sit here and be like, that's not true. It is true. Learn your history. We didn't get the right to vote until the 60s. Women couldn't own property or bank accounts or anything in America and in most other countries. You needed a man to do anything. That's not the case anymore. So when I'm talking about that. It's usually the men oppressing the women, but there's some women that got so crazy and angry, or they saw things and then they didn't want it to happen, and then they became the aggressor. So yes, just being, covering all the corners or whatever. Anyway, so, I just wanted to mention that. But just understand, just because someone loves you doesn't mean they're going to continue to forgive you perpetually. Stop messing up, or don't mess up. Don't try to mess up. Nobody tries. But if you know right and wrong. We're all taught from a very young age. And if you don't, then something happened, then you learned, you get through it, fine. But don't continue to make the same mistake or a variation of the same mistake over and over and over again. That's just you being careless and saying, well, she forgave me once, so she'll forgive me again. That's you having the wrong mentality, being taught the wrong thing, and that's why you're not going to have someone in the long run. But the truth is, these guys have like 6 or 7 women. So if 1 or 2 fall off, a few of the ones that have been around for a while kind of know their game and they might bounce off, but then they're always constantly replenishing their stock. They're replenishing the women around them. So you got to be careful with guys like that. So I personally do not trust a man who doesn't let me go through his phone, who deletes text messages. I'm like, why are you deleting text messages? Oh, because I want to. I'm like, why? You don't need to delete text messages. Oh, because no, there's a reason you're deleting text messages. It takes more effort to delete it than not delete it. So you're taking the effort to delete it for a reason. Oh, I don't have any room on my phone. Well, then transfer some pictures and stuff off of it. Text messages are the proof that you need to protect yourself. God forbid something happens in your relationship, you have the proof of the arguments. God forbid something happens that you had to confront him about. You have all the proof is there in the comment. They tell you something and then they go around saying, I never said that. The proof is right there. Don't delete your text messages. You need the proof and back it up to make sure that you have a backup in case something happens. Because some guys are like, oh, I'm going to break her phone. I saw this couple. They were arguing, this young couple. They were teenagers. And they were hitting on each other, beating each other up at Right Playland. And we broke up the fight. The guy threw the girl's phone in the water and she threw his phone, or she threw his. They both threw each other's phones in the water. You know what I mean? So stuff like that happens, or they throw it over. People are crazy. Some, not everybody, but there's some people that are like, and they'll throw the phone out the window and a car drives over, or they'll throw it off a bridge, or they'll throw it off a building. Like, people just get angry and they do things, right? I don't understand those people, but they do. And so we witnessed this. So they didn't have their phone, so the girl had to use her friend's phone to call her mom. But if she needed to do a domestic dispute case against this kid, God forbid that had happened. Maybe she was beating him up. You don't know. That happens too. Women are aggressors too, I'm telling you. Some women beat up men. Some women rape men. Some women, it happens. Don't act like it doesn't happen. But I'm just saying, in the context, to make this conversation easier, I'm just going to say men. Okay? But I don't mean it. It could be women too. So in the context of this conversation, men, they lie sometimes, and women lie too. But if you have it in writing, you have your proof, right? So why are you deleting text messages? If you're telling me that you were talking to someone and now you're not talking to them, I want to see the text message or the ending or the fact that you guys haven't texted or talked in a while. But then understand that there's men out there that have multiple phones. They have second phones, third phones. They keep one in the car. They keep one in their gym bag. They keep one at work. And they keep one in the house. This happens. And then that's why they're like, oh, I'm going to go home now. I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed. It's because they left the phone at work. Oh, I didn't call you. It's because they didn't call you till they got back home. Or they left the phone in the car. You know? And then, like, if they need to talk to you, they'll go and be like, oh, I'm going to go get a soda. They go to the car. They grab the second phone to talk to the mistress or the other girl. I'm telling you what I've learned, guys. This is really important information. And then they'll talk to you for 2 seconds. They're like, oh, I'm going to go back home. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. And then they hang up. If a guy cannot talk to you from his bed, and girls, remember, the roles are reversed, they're cheating. They're not home. If they can't talk to you and fall asleep, hey, babe, how are you doing? Yeah, I love you too. Something's up. Something's up. Something's up. Something's up. So I'm going to leave it at that. Give you some nuggets to think about. All right, you guys. Love you. Bye.